Hey y'all, what's up? This is Rosie, and I wanted to talk about a couple of cases that just pissed me off over the years. And I'm not going to talk about them all in one video, just separately, okay? Because I don't want to talk about them too long. But the first case was the Kent State shooting that happened at Kent State University in Ohio. It happened on May 4th, 1970. Students were peacefully protesting the Vietnam War's expansion into Cambodia and the draft, and of course, National Guard presence on their campus. Why the hell were they there? So Richard Nixon, I guess, thought it was necessary to call in the National Guard at that campus. Sound familiar? But anyway, these trigger-happy guardsmen said that they were surrounded on all sides and they were afraid for their lives. What were they to do? The sky was black with stones and rocks being thrown at them. So they had to take their M1 rifles and fire at the students. What else were they going to do? Let themselves get pelted with rocks? Of course, that was all a lie. One guardsman got hit by a rock and he had some swelling in his arm and had to get pain medicine and a stent for his arm, a stent for his arm or whatever. It was all ridiculous. They unalived 4 students, wounded 9 others. And 8 of the trigger-happy National Guardsmen were charged with depriving students of their civil rights. Yeah, I think unaliving 4 students and wounding 9 others goes above and beyond depriving them of their civil rights. And the ones of them that are still alive now, I'm speaking directly to you. I hope you are haunted by what you did and filled with undying guilt for the rest of your natural born lives. Because what you did, taking those students away from their families, away from living their lives, away from building families of their own. I have no words. I have no words. But one unidentified person said suddenly they turned around, got on their knees as if they were ordered to. They did it all together, aimed, and personally I was standing there saying, they're not going to shoot. They can't do that. If they are going to shoot, it's going to be blank. But sadly, that wasn't the case. Another of the students grew to be the front woman of the Pretenders, Chrissy Hynde. She wrote about it in her 2015 autobiography. I haven't bought that yet, but I need to. But she described what she saw. She said, then I heard the tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat sound. I thought it was fireworks, an eerie sound. Fell over the common. The quiet felt like gravity pulling us to the ground. Then a young man's voice, they fucking killed somebody. Everything slowed down and the silence got heavier. The ROTC building, now nothing more than a few inches of charcoal, was surrounded by National Guardsmen. They were all on one knee and pointing their rifles at us. Then they fired. By the time I made my way to where I could see them, it was still unclear what was going on. The guardsmen themselves looked stunned. We looked at them, and they looked at us. They were just kids, 19 years old, like us, but in uniform, like our boys in Vietnam. Another one, Gerald Casali, he was the bassist and singer of Devo, and he was pissed. He said, all I can tell you is that it completely and utterly changed my life. I was a white hippie boy, and then I saw exit wounds from M1 rifles out of the backs of 2 people I knew. 2 of the 4 people who were killed, Jeffrey Miller and Allison Krause, were my friends. We were all running our asses off from these motherfuckers. It was total, utter bullshit. live ammunition, and gas masks. None of us knew, none of us could have imagined. They shot into a crowd that was running from them. Sorry for messing up. I stopped being a hippie and started to develop the idea of devolution. I got real pissed off, and rightfully so. I'm going to put these things that they said in the video, so you'll read them for yourselves, and you can stop the video at that point that you see the quotes and read them for yourself. But he told this to the Vermont Review in 2005. Over 80 songs were written about the case, the most famous of which was probably Ohio, from Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. A protest song by them, and they sang it, and it was like fresh released in like June of that year. It was written by Neil Young, and I love that song. I watched it while looking up information for the video. One was full of photos from what happened that day, and I will put some of them in the video so you can see for yourselves what it might have been like. But every single time I hear about that, all I could think about was just how their rights were taken away. They had National Guardsmen on their campus. The local police deputized citizens, and some of the students said it was open season on them. Martial law was declared on them. 7 p.m. curfew. They had no right to protest because, at the instance of the governor declaring it, they had no rights to protest, so their First Amendment rights were taken away. Parents couldn't even file lawsuits against them. And it was ridiculous. And nobody at that time saw the injustice of it. And I don't understand how they couldn't see that, how they didn't see that these students were unarmed, only had rocks at their disposal. 4 of them were forever stolen away from this earth, didn't have a chance to graduate, didn't have a chance to start their careers, start families, and live lives of their own, because some trigger-happy National Guardsmen saw fit to get on their knees, point M1 rifles at unarmed students protesting the Vietnam War's expansion into Cambodia, the draft, and their presence on a college campus. Yeah. So I'm going to stop right here, you guys. Tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me if you remember this thing happening and what you thought at the time, what you think of it now. And yeah, I'm gonna go. So you will see my Cash App, PayPal, and GoFundMe links in the description. If you would like to be a part of my tribe, hit that subscribe button. No matter what generation you're from, I would be so glad to have you. Hey, let's talk about it in the comments. Let's have a conversation. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Hope to see y'all on the next one. Bye for now.